On August 30th, 2000, Miss Matze stood at the door of her very first kindergarten classroom, nervous, excited, and ready to greet her students. College had trained her well. She had her lesson plans, unit plans, standards, objectives, and materials. Within the first few weeks, she learned something no course, no textbook, and no degree had prepared her for. Teaching is so much more than lesson plans and standards. It's about little people with big emotions. Ms. Matze quickly realized this kind of emotional learning, this human learning, is just as important, if not more important, than the academic content we are trained to deliver. Fast forward 25 years. That same teacher is now Mrs. Goodwin, standing here with a very different lens. In those 25 years, children haven't changed. The pressures have grown, the pace has quickened. Somewhere along the way, we've lost sight of the end goal. I ask you this, what do we really want for our children when they grow up? What kind of skills do we hope that they'll carry, not just into college or a job, but into life? What kind of skills do we want the people we work with to have? The answers are likely the same. Teamwork, communication, listening, compromise, perseverance, respect, responsibility, resilience, honesty, empathy. This isn't just a workplace checklist. It's a blueprint for being a good human. Here's the question. When and where do kids learn these personal qualities? They start young, in the early years when they're just beginning to understand the world. While we can't always control what's taught at home, we can control what kids experience at school. I'm with my students 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, 175 days a year. That's more than 1,200 hours. Let's be clear, we don't teach kindness with a quick activity and check it off. We don't read one book about feelings and call it done. We model it, we practice it, we live it. Just like reading or math, empathy and self-regulation are skills. Like all skills, they must be taught, they must be practiced, they must be celebrated. More and more, teachers are seeing kids coming in emotionally dysregulated, not because they're bad, not because they're broken, but because no one has shown them how to manage those big feelings. And teachers, they're overwhelmed. A typical elementary day at my school and across the nation includes 60 minutes for math, 90 minutes for reading, 30 to 60 minutes for writing, 45 minutes for social studies, up to 60 minutes for science, 13 minutes for health. That's over 275 minutes for academics. How much time is suggested for social emotional learning, otherwise known as SEL? Some schools start with just a 2-minute check-in. Let that sink in. 5 hours for academics and maybe 2 minutes for the very skills that help a child manage conflict or stress. It's no surprise that when time runs out, SEL is the first thing to go. There's no pacing guide for empathy. There's no test for compassion. No data wall about character. If we want to raise emotionally intelligent, resilient humans, something has to change. We, as a nation, need to reframe the way we look at education. We have to remember that we are molding and creating the whole child, and that they are not just vessels of knowledge that live in a vacuum. They are complex, emotional, social beings, and if we want them to thrive academically, we must first nurture who they are as people in order to create a solid foundation for better academic learners. We can't overhaul the whole system today, but we can recognize the need for change. And this change starts with one word: permission. Permission from school boards, administrators, families, and ourselves. Permission to trust our gut and expertise, pivot from the lesson and make a game day decision to lean into the moment. To say, this math can wait. Ainsley needs to learn how to breathe through her frustration. Instead of, if we have time, we'll talk later about the incident that happened at recess, but right now, we've got to get to math. When we teach these skills in real time, everyone benefits. Teachers need permission to teach not just content, but character. To celebrate growth in kindness, the way we celebrate growth in reading. I now give myself permission to champion for SEL to hold more weight in my district by bringing the conversation to the table. Social emotional learning needs to be valued just as much as academic content. What does that look like in practice? It's a long overdue conversation, and it needs to start with the voices of the educators who are on the front lines every day. We need to prioritize SEL not just in K-5 classrooms, but in the way we prepare future teachers. What can you do to be supportive? Contact your school boards, your administrations, your teachers, and advocate for SEL to play a more significant role in your child's education. We need to stop operating in response mode and start leading with prevention. This is how we build stronger classrooms. This is how we build stronger communities. That's how we build a better world. 25 years ago, Miss Matze thought she was ready to teach. She thought her plans and standards would be enough. She hadn't yet learned that the most important lessons aren't always written down. That the real curriculum is empathy, compassion, emotional resilience, humanity. Today, that same teacher, now Mrs. Goodwin, stands here knowing that to have a successful academic learner, we must first support and create an emotionally healthy learner. Here's to every young Miss Matze, hopeful, eager, and full of plans. Let's give her and every teacher the tools, the training, and most of all, the permission and support to lead with heart. Because when we do, we don't just change classrooms, we change lives. Thank you.